Hey guys, Account Second here, and this is the info video for Season 21 of the NASCAR Pokemon Cup Series. The mod we're using this season is the 2016 Retro mod. And what it is the 2016 cars mostly correct, but in retro paint schemes that are in the style from most drivers that retro schemes used in last year's Darlington race for the Sprint Cup Series, but this time they brought all drivers with retro paint schemes for and using the 2016 roster to fill the mods. So this is sort of a bit of a preview of the drivers of the cars that they're going to be using in the next season. In the when the real 2016 car set comes out, and we'll transition to that set. And this is just a preview. Only it's retro schemes for every driver. So it's pretty much the 2016 car set, except it is retro version. The real 2016 set might come out somewhere in the middle of February, just as usual. So keep an eye on that. But anyway, we're using this car set for Season 21 because why not just do another season before we get to transition. If we complete our transition to the 2016 cars for the PCS starting Season 22. And yeah, so anyway, here are the drivers that'll be in Season 21. Starts off with the number 1 for Chip Ganassi Racing in the McRib Sandwich Machine. It is Annie Thomas, one of the many rookies here in Season 21. Last year, Holden Gluba drove the number 1 machine. And the number 2 representing Miller American and Team Penske is Marchez Ferrero, one of the Final 4 drivers last season. He's back in his old ride. In the number 3 for Richard Childress Racing Dow Chemicals, it's Chris Dodd, another rookie, and you'll see a lot of these rookies here this season. John Andrews was the driver in the number 3 last season. Don't think he's in this season, actually. It was pretty disappointing for the number 3, so they've decided to start over with a new driver. In the number 4, representing Stewart-Haas Racing and Busch Beer, it's Daniel Bouchard, yet another new rookie. Philip Goldberg rode the number 4 last season, and now I guess the team wanted to start over with Daniel Bouchard, the rookie, now driving the machine. In the number 5 for Hedrick Motorsports, it's Dylan Theroux. Theroux returns to the series. He was in the 41 last season he was with Stewart-Haas Racing, and now he's in Hedrick in the number 5 and a different number. So Dylan Theroux hopes for a new start here in this machine. In the number 6 for Roush Fenway Racing, it's Ian Siegel. He was absent last season from the series, but he's back. And he's back with a new team and a new number, so hopefully Siegel will make a comeback for the ages. In the numbers, by the way, Jacob Lawlor was the driver in the 6 last season, and Jessica Emery was the driver in the 5 last season. I forgot to mention that. Anyway, in the number 7 for Tommy Baldwin Racing, it's Elijah Gordon, a new rookie here in Season 21, taking over Brandon Nichols in the machine and sporting the old Golden Corral colors. In the number 10, keeping his ride from last season for Stewart-Haas Racing, it's Kyle Collins. And look at that car. Gets a new look for Nature's Bakery. In the number 11, for Federal Express, also now known as FedEx, for Joe Gibbs Racing, it's James Richardson. Last year, O'Neal Balvin was in this ride, but now it's occupied by rookie James Richardson. I couldn't fit the O and N in the last name because they didn't have enough characters to fill the name, but it's still James Richardson. In the number 13, O'Neal Balvin will race now for Germain Racing in the number 13 Geico machine. Last year, Avi Sachs was in this ride, and more on Avi Sachs where he's going to be later. But Balvin moves from the 11 to the 13. In the number 14 for Mobile One Stewart-Haas Racing, it's Emmett Juckem. Last season, he was in the 88 for Hedrick Motorsports. He now moves to Stewart-Haas Racing in the ride that was occupied by William Brock last season. In the number 15, it's Final Four driver Webster Zygarde. Last season, he drove the 55 for Michael Waltrip Racing, but as you know, they're now out of business, so they've moved their team over to H. Scott Motorsports, and they've given him a new number, 15, and a new sponsor, Old World Industries. In the number 16 for Ford EcoBoost and Roush Fenway Racing, it's Jessica Emery. I mentioned earlier Emery was in the 5 last season. Now she takes over Isaiah Burniche in the 16 machine. In the number 17 for Roush Fenway Racing, NOS Energy Drink, it's Emanuel Magnussen. He's back in the same team from last season, and he has a new sponsor in his car, too. He was a finalist last season, by the way. In the number 18 for Joe Gibbs Racing and Interstate Batteries is JT Bryant. Last season, he was in the 22 for Penske. Now moves to Joe Gibbs in the new ride. And Alex Bush was the driver in the 18 last season. In the 19, it's Leia Walker, keeps her ride from last season for Joe Gibbs and TA2 Racing. And Subway gets a new look too. Well, an old look, but still a pretty cool retro look, don't you think, for the 19? But anyway, Joe Gibbs Racing, number 20 for DeWalt Tools, it's Mason Powers. Last season, Ryan Kasey drove the 20 machine. And Mason Powers, I think, if I could find him, Mason Powers, don't think he he had a ride last season, so he's making his comeback, so to speak, and now he's in Joe Gibbs. In the number 21 for Hodge John and Wood Brothers Racing, Avery Williams, rookie. The rookie replaces Dylan Young in the old Wood Brothers machine here this season. And Luke Walker moves back to the 22 for Team Penske. Didn't like the 32, even though he had a win last season, the 32. But he's moving on to the 22 back for Team Penske and Shell Oils. In the number 23, it is Joseph Romanuk, Dr. Pepper Sugar Free and BK Racing. Last season, Chloe Baker drove the 23. Romanuk was absent from last season. He's back, and nevertheless the same number he had in season 19. So anyway, John Arndt, he's back in the 24 for Hedrick Motorsports and 3M. Arnott has kept the 24 for 5 straight seasons. He had 2 championships with the team. Now he's looking to get even more, looking to get an unprecedented 3rd title for the driver. In the number 26 for Zach Products and BK Racing, it is Ramino Adler. Adler returns after a couple seasons off, and the 26 is also back in circulation for the series. It didn't compete in the previous couple seasons. In the number 27, keeping his ride from last season for Richard Childress Racing, GT Sylvania Menards, it's Fetty McDowell. In the number 29, it's for RAB, TA2 Racing, and Toyota Racing Development. It's Pichu. This is the very first season that Pichu is not in the 99. The 99 will never come back, and so they decided to start fresh and decided to live with the fact that 99 is not coming back and decided to take 29 instead. It's kind of a fitting number for Pichu because TA2 and his old number was 99, so it combines both of his old numbers, both of his notable numbers into one car. And so, however, and believe it or not, Pichu will run a part-time schedule. He won't be running every race this season, and he'll share the ride with a couple drivers. I'll explain more on that on Facebook, on Pichu London's Facebook page. I'll explain more on that when it comes out in the coming weeks. Avi Sachs is going to be one of those drivers that'll replace Pichu in the 29 for a couple races, certain number of races. We don't know yet. I'll let you know on Facebook. Anyway, on the number 31, representing Richard Childress Racing and Granger, it's William Brock. Last season, Sean Harple was in this ride, and William Brock was in the 14. But now he's moved down to RCR in hopes of a new start. In the number 32, for Go Green Racing, Can-Am, it's Max Skinner. He's back. Max Skinner is back, and he's hoping this time he finally wins a championship. In the number 33 for Red Cap and RCR, it's Isaiah Burniche. Last season, it was Keon Eddington who drove this car drove the 33 to win the Daytona 500. And now it's going to be Burniche's turn to take RCR's wheels. Eddington is not even in this season, which is very shocking. And the number 34 for A&W Root Beer Front Row Motorsports is Jerry Guerra. Last season, Anthony Lopez drove the 34 for Front Row, who's recently reduced their numbers from 3 cars to 2 cars, but nevertheless are still alive. And Jerry Guerra is now starting off with a new team. With the 9 car being shut down from Richard Petty Motorsports, he's now moving to Front Row in the 34. Ryan Acosta returns in his 38 for Front Row Motorsports, and he's got Taco Bell as his sponsor. Acosta, as you know, won the Pichu Cup at the most points of any driver that's not in the isn't affected by the chase. And our defending champion, Hillman Smith Racing's Armando Shazzazz. New sponsor this season with Newtown Building Supplies. And the number 41 is Ryan Kasey for Hans CNC and Stewart Haas Racing. Ryan Kasey, he was in the 20 last season. And Theroux was the driver of the 41, as I mentioned earlier. Jacob Lawlor in the 42 for Chip Ganassi Racing for Energizer Batteries. Lawlor was in the 6 last season, and Cooper Saron drove the 42 last season. Lawlor, one of the longest tenured drivers in the PCS, hopes for a fresh new start after finishing dead last in points last season, despite winning a race. In the 43, it is Justin Roberds representing Smithfield and Richard Petty Motorsports. I'm surprised they didn't get the STP 43 back, but oh well, they can't win them all. Roberds, by the way, he was in this series. I think he was in the series. Roberds was somewhere. And the 43 was driven by Tony Green. Tony Green drove the car last season. Zachary Fitzwater is in the 44 for Albertsons and Richard Petty Motorsports. Richard Petty acquired the 44. They renumbered it from number 9, and that's why the 9 is no longer in use, as Richard Petty has moved on to the 44. Zach Fitzwater will take over in that ride from Sam Rogers. And we move on to number 46, who it's back in circulation again for H. Scott Motorsports, is Anthony Buscarino. Buscarino was in the 51 last season. By the way, the 51 was renumbered to 15 to make room for Webster Zygarde. So Buscarino had to find another ride with H. Scott Motorsports. In the 47 for Southeastern Mills and JTG Daughtry Racing, it's Kyle Keith. Last season, they had rookie Ben Braley in the ride, but Braley failed to deliver and they released him and have signed another rookie, Kyle Keith. Hopefully, Keith will do a better job for the team. And the number 48 for Lowe's Hedrick Motorsports, Payton Beasley. Beasley was in the 78 for Front Furniture Row Racing and has now moved up to the big 48 for Hedrick. Last year, Grayson Acevedo was in the ride. In the 62, it is Sam Rogers for Premium Motorsports and Royalty Collection. Last season, it was Benjamin Miles that drove the 62, and Sam Rogers was in the 44, but with 44 being acquired by Richard Petty, he's been bumped down to Premium Motorsports in the 62. In the 78, it's Anthony Lopez for Furniture Row Racing. Lopez, by the way, was in a ride somewhere. Forgot where it was, but now he's in the 70. He takes over from Payton Beasley from last season. In the number 88, representing Nationwide Insurance and Hedrick Motorsports, it's Levi McIntire. Thrash Maniac 99 himself making his very first Pokemon Cup Series debut. That'll surely be exciting. And I do apologize for the little bit of lag. I don't know what's going on right now. But anyway, Levi McIntire, Thrash Maniac 99 himself, is in the 88 for Edric Motorsports. Emmett Juckem was in this ride last season. But Levi McIntire, the big name, they couldn't pass him up. And the 95, Joseph Shrigley, he returns from his ride last season for Levine Family Racing, who I've heard have merged recently with Circle Sport. And I think that merger will be effective after this season. And finally, the 98 for Premium Motorsports, it's rookie Colby Jackson. And, the 98, I think, was not in use last season, but it's back with Premium Motorsports resurrecting it from the dead. And that is your drivers for Season 21 of the NASCAR Pole 1 Cup Series. I'll have info about how this is going to work and the schedule of the series up on Pichu London's Facebook page. The link will be in the video description for updates on Season 21 and what we're going to be doing for this season. But anyway, hope you guys will enjoy this season. This is the account second here. I'll see you guys later.